in Jesus' name. Chapter 5. It is January 11th, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Saturday afternoon. We're at the Keno Estate, Crystal Cove, California. And that was the end of that, Eric said as he closed the book. He looked around at 6 sets of beautiful brown eyes as they peered up at him. 5 of them belonged to his children, and 1 pair belonged to his beloved wife. He reached out and touched her cheek gently. "Sweetheart, you look tired." She smiled. "I'm sleepy. Your voice kind of puts me to sleep." He frowned. I'm that boring?" "No, silly. You make me feel that comfortable." "I not sleepy," Manny said quickly. Eric smiled at him. "What is it you're really trying to tell me, man?" he asked with a chuckle. I trying to say I not sleepy." "I think maybe you're trying to tell me that you don't think you need to take a nap." Manny frowned. "Daddy, could we please have one more story?" Angelina asked sweetly. He looked around at their sweet faces. His heart tumbled with the immense love that he felt. They were 4 months shy of their 3rd birthday, and they were extremely intelligent, very teachable, and learning to think on their own and voice what they were thinking, and he loved them. Oh, how he loved them. "Just one more," he said as his phone vibrated. He pulled it out of his pocket. "Yes?" "Sir, Agent John Sweet is at the gate and would like to see you. He says it's important." "Do you know Agent Sweet?" "Yes, sir." "You're sure it's him?" "Yes, sir." "Ask him why he didn't call me." "I already did, sir. He said his phone got smashed in a motorcycle accident and he lost your number." "Well, that's a fine excuse," Eric joked. "Send him up." Eric looked up at the faces that were no longer smiling. "One more story, but it looks like your mom will have to be the one to read it to you." "I love when Mommy reads to us," Noah said. "Me too," Angelina said. "But we wish you could stay." "Sorry, kiddos, I have to go see what Agent Sweet's problem is." "Before you go, will you do the nicknames game again?" Nate asked. Eric smiled. "Okay, but they're getting pretty long. I might need help." "I'll help you," they all said. Eric pointed at each child as he spoke. "Angel Face that won the race. Man ate a can of, Jam, Abe yelled. Eric smiled. Good enough. He pointed at Abe. Abraham helped eat the jam, which made Abe very brave. Noah soon will grow so he can walk in the snow. And Nate can't wait to drive a car through the gate. Nate grinned with pleasure. Mine is the best. Manny said. We are not in competition with each other, Shelley said firmly, raising her eyebrows at Nate. Nate sighed. I think they are all really good names. Eric smiled and rose from the floor and pointed at the kids. One more story and then into bed for a nap. Got it? Got it, they all yelled. Eric bent and kissed his wife's cheek and headed out. He trotted down the giant staircase and opened the front door. John was just getting out of his car. Senior agent and team leader John Sweet had trained with Jeffy's husband Cam back 8 years ago. He was an Aussie with a big smile and a giant personality. He was confident and cool and jovial, but could be very lethal. He was a big, strong guy, as were most AMT agents, but John was a little taller and a little slimmer. Blonde hair, tan skin, brown eyes, and that winning smile put him in the sights of most every female he came across. Eric smiled. John, good to see you. John came up to stand in front of Eric and bowed. Grandmaster Keno, always a privilege and honor to see you, sir. Eric bowed and offered his hand. So, you don't look any worse for wear? Sir? Motorcycle accident? Oh, yeah, I'm not hurt, but the other guy didn't fare so well, and neither did my phone. Chief Adams has a new one waiting on me to come pick it up, but I need to come see you since I was... But I needed to come see you since I was down this way helping Agents Ward and Wyatt with their plans down in Hillcrest. Ah, yes. So another Gabe Tanner Center is coming soon? Well, I don't know about soon, but there will be one in Jordan's neighborhood eventually. Agents Ward and Brown and Wyatt and myself are going in on it. Eric's warm smile showed that he was pleased. Wonderful. If you need any help for any reason, please include me. Thank you, sir. I'll let them know. Good. And before you leave today, I'd like to simply make a donation to the cause. John smiled. All is appreciated, sir. Eric smiled. Well, come in. Can I get you anything? Are you hungry? Thirsty? Actually, I'm starved. Eric nodded with a smile. I am so sorry. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep reading in the mornings because I'm all congested in the mornings. Let's see. Eric nodded with a smile and headed to the kitchen. Let's make up some lunch and sit at the table and talk. John nodded. They worked together to make up some giant sandwiches, and Eric warmed up some of Shelley's potato soup. Once they had their meal arranged, they sat together, and Eric blessed the food. So, I'm intrigued. Tell me, John, what can I do for you today? John smiled as he put a spoonful of soup in his mouth, and his eyes opened wide. Oh, wow, this is really good. It hits the spot. Eric smiled. Well, Shelley would be glad to hear you say that. Everyone's always teases her about her cooking skills, but really, she's come a long way. It's just a running joke now, but she takes it like a champ. Mrs. Keno is such a sweet lady. I've always loved her. Eric nodded. I can understand that. Where is she? She's upstairs napping with the little ones. John nodded and sighed. I have to say once again how grateful I am to be able to sit here and speak with you, Grandmaster Keno. I'm grateful that you're alive for me to do this. Me too. So, Grandmaster Keno, I have something amazing to tell you. It has to do with your book. My book? Yes, sir, your memoirs. I had a few copies of the book, and I took them with me when I went home to visit my family. I gave one to my parents because I wanted them to understand the people I work for, how it all got started, and why working at Ameritech is such a privilege. I wanted them to understand why I have such great respect for you and your whole family and the Lees and their families. Well, that's very kind of you. Oh, no, sir, I'm not being kind. I'm being honest. Anyway, so I brought along an extra book, I thought, in case there's someone I needed to give a gift to. I have a friend down under who works as a guide at Glass House Mountains National Park. I promised him I'd go and visit him next time I was in Australia, and I did. He and I went on a little excursion around the mountains, and I felt something so amazing. I've lived in Australia all my life, and I had never been to Glass Mountain, but that feeling I had there, well, I've only felt that feeling one other time in my life. And that was when I prayed for you with Gabe on a giant Zoom call. There was such power on that call, and there was such power like emanating from the mountain. Eric stayed quiet and allowed him to tell this story. There's a little town on the north side of the mountain called Laurel. It's a lovely little place with lovely people, and that's where my friend lives. His name is Henry Brown. I've known him since we were kids, and we used to bike in the mountains pretty regularly. Harleys, not bicycles. So while I was there, Henry took me to his little church last Sunday. It's the Glass House Mountain Unity Church. It's a tiny place. Henry and I drove up on our bikes, and we were immediately surrounded by kids. Great kids. Inside the church, inside the little chapel area, there were only about 10 rows of benches. Henry took me around and introduced me to a lot of the people. They were great, real friendly. And I spotted a man in the very back pew over in the corner. He was older. He appeared to be of mixed blood, part white, part Aboriginal. He was sitting calmly with a kind smile on his face and wise eyes, and he had a powerful bearing about him. But mostly, what drew my attention is he reminded me of someone. Who? Eric asked. You. He gave off the same kind of energy. He had light and power around him. He was sitting next to a white woman who looked very kind and had a sweet smile, and I asked Henry about them, and he said that they were a very special part of the church congregation. He said the man was their very own clever man. Except he was Christian. What is a cleverman? Eric asked. Like a shaman? John nodded, yes. A cleverman is a healer in the Aboriginal culture. Interesting. I thought so too, and I was drawn to him, so I asked Henry to introduce me to him. His name is Ses Iman. The woman was his wife, and her name is Hazel Iman. Henry left me there for a bit, and I sat and talked to the Imans before the church service, and it turned out Ses Iman is a doctor, a medical doctor. He had my complete interest, and I didn't want to stop talking to him and his wife, and I was disappointed when the meeting began and I had to go take my seat with Henry. As soon as the service ended, I looked for Mr. Iman again, but he was not in his seat. And then someone tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned, and it was him. He almost took my breath away standing in front of him. He's powerful. Again, it's the exact same way I feel when I'm in your presence. Well, I'll take that as a great compliment, though you know, whatever power you feel around me, it's the power of God that I pray for daily to lead me and guide me. John laughed. Grandmaster Kino. That is the exact same thing Mr. Iman said to me when I remarked to him how he made me feel. Anyway, so Mr. Iman invited Henry and I to their home for the evening meal. They live in one of the larger homes in the town, though compared to your home, it's tiny. It was a lovely place, white brick, well landscaped and manicured, modern kitchen, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. It was lovely and comfortable and clean, and it too had a welcoming feeling, just like your home. I asked him if they had children and found that they had a son and a daughter who were swept out to sea when they were teens out boating one summer day. It was a very sad story, and I could see the pain in his eyes, but then he smiled and assured me he would indeed see them again. I found out that Mr. Iman was actually 75 years old. It was crazy because he looked maybe 50, and again, that is the way I feel about you. No one can believe that you're 70. You look 40, 45, 50, and Ricky looks 30, 35. Really, it's crazy. Healthy living, Jeffy's protocols, and the Spirit of God, Eric explained. John nodded with a smile. I guess so. Anyway, we went on to have a wonderful meal, and I told Mr. Iman how he reminded me of you. I told him all about you and all about what happened to you this past year and gave him some videos he could watch. I wanted to tell him your story, the story of the cave, but I was afraid I wouldn't do it justice, and then I remembered that I had that extra book of your memoirs. So I went out to my bike and I pulled it from the pack and presented it to him. I realized that then that he was the reason I brought along the extra book. I was supposed to give it to him. The evening ended and Henry and I made our way back. He had to get me to the airport in the morning because I had to get back to work. I was sad to be leaving that special place. Early the next morning, I got a call from Mr. Iman. He was very emotional. He said he needed to tell me something. He said he'd read your book and couldn't stop crying and praising God at the same time. Eric didn't say anything, but only nodded his head, feeling hopeful that they had just found another one of the 12. So far, there was Ronald Clark, Alo Quinn, and himself. John went on. I'm sure you'd rather hear Mr. Iman's story from his own lips, and maybe you can arrange that, but I want to, or very much need to tell you what he told me. Well, please do. You can't bring me this far and not tell me the story. John chuckled. I guess you're right about that. He drew a deep breath. Sorry. It's Morty making noise. He drew a deep breath. Ses Iman was an only child. He was actually a twin, but his brother was stillborn. His mother and father loved him dearly. They tried to give him a sibling, but they were never able to have another child. They lived in an Aboriginal settlement, and Ses, which, by the way, means son, was desperate to leave and meet other people. He knew there were other people to meet because his mother was a white woman. She told him to never go beyond their village and the hunting grounds because it was very dangerous. Still, he would constantly wander away from home when he was just a kid. He made friends with wildlife. It seemed wherever he went, the animals would come to him. It wasn't out of the norm for him to wander off for days at a time, making his mother worry, but his father understood Sess's need to explore. One time, when Sess was 8 years old, his father decided to allow Sess to come with him to deliver some baskets and fish to a small marketplace near the sea. They loaded a handcart with their ware and headed to the village. Sess was mesmerized by what he saw. There were so many people, and most of them were white. He wasn't afraid of them, though, because his own mother was white, though she didn't dress in finery such as he was seeing. However, he told his father that he'd seen people like that before, all dressed up, when he dreamed at night. His father hadn't known what to think of that. While his father delivered the baskets to a man in the marketplace, Seth looked around him to take in as much as he could. He said he was mesmerized. There were vendors selling fishing gear and some selling household gadgets that he'd never seen before. There was clothing, fine clothing, and a large area where Aboriginal art pieces, hand-carved boomerangs, and the such were being sold. There was also food, pies and sausages and sweet treats and fresh fruits and, of course, a fish market, which is where his father went to deliver the fish. Seth stood in one place, looking over everything with wonder when his eyes met the eyes of a little white girl who stood across the roadway eating a piece of candy. She smiled at him, and Seth said he looked behind him because he couldn't believe the pretty little girl was smiling at him. She then pointed at him and nodded her head, and he nodded back. Then he said he was horrified to see a larger boy come up to the little girl and grab the candy from her hand, and then when she tried to get it back from him, he hit her in the face and pushed her into the roadway. The girl looked up as a cart with 2 horses came barreling down the street. She was about to be trampled. And Seth ran forward into the street right in front of the horses. He put his hand out and willed them to stop. And they did. And the man driving the cart got out and started yelling at Seth, but he didn't care. He turned and helped the girl up. Her nose was bleeding, and he started to wipe the blood away, but a woman screamed. And next thing Seth knew, he was being grabbed and shaken. A man yelled at him and slapped him across the face. Goodness. Seth's father tried to get to him, but he was grabbed by other Aboriginal men who held him back, knowing that if he tried to help his son, he would be killed. Seth fell to the ground as a few others kicked him and warned him to never, ever touch a white girl again. The little girl was screaming, trying to make everyone understand that Seth had helped her, and it was a boy named Billy who'd hit her in the nose and knocked her down. Finally, they realized what she was saying, and they turned and left Seth alone, not one of them bothering to help him up or apologize for the mistake. And finally, Seth's father was released, and he rushed to his son's side. He lifted him up in his arms and carried him to the now empty cart and started on the long walk home. And a woman chased him down and held out some water and a cloth, and she said only 2 words, "Thank you." After that, Seth's parents never brought him to the village again. It took him a long time to heal. He had a cut lip, a bloody nose, a large lump on his head, and several large bruises on his arms, back, and legs. He said later he found that he had a broken rib. Even with all that, he begged to go into town again, if only to see the little girl once more and make sure she was okay, but his parents refused. They kept a very tight rein on him after that. Then, one night, when Seth was 10 years old, he decided he was going to make a run for it. He felt a pull so strong that he had to go back into the village. He slipped away by the moonlight and headed toward the village. But as he walked, a dense fog blew in from the sea, and Seth couldn't see where he was going. He decided to sit and let it pass. He sat by a tree along the path, and he drank some water, and he ate some dry crackers that he brought with him, and he fell asleep. And when he woke, it was daylight. The fog was gone, but there was something strange going on. He couldn't find the path. The tree had been right next to the path, yet the path was nowhere in sight. He circled around the tree and tried to decide which way to go. He knew he had to make a decision. He looked at the sun and headed east, back to his village. At least he thought he did. As he walked, he began to hear sounds, something rustling around the surrounding area, grunting and snorting, and he stopped moving, as it sounded like a sounder of feral pigs, and they were no fun to deal with. He found a stick and tried to move quietly away. He thought he had succeeded when he suddenly heard a growl, and then a loud squeal, and a group of 6 pigs came running at him. He took off running, swinging the stick as he ran, trying to knock them away. He came to a hillside and started down as fast as he could go, but he tripped and he fell and he tumbled down the hill, and that didn't seem to deter the pigs. They chased him down the hill. He stood up and looked for a tree to climb, but there was none close enough. But he did see a small cave, and he went straight to it. The cave was only a few feet deep, but it provided protection for his back and sides, and he stood at the cave trying to fight the pigs off with a stick. He was getting tired, and it seemed the pigs were not going to give up and leave him alone. And then he tripped and fell, and the pigs moved in so fast. They gored him with their tusks in the arm and in the leg. He said he knew he was going to die. John stopped and smiled. "How am I doing on the storytelling?" Eric laughed. You're doing fine. You have me on the edge of my seat, so please continue." John nodded. I had to stop to get myself together because what happened next was so cool. Okay, so he thought he was about to be gored to death by a bunch of pigs, but suddenly a pack of dingoes showed up. The pigs stopped charging immediately and they ran off. There were 7 dingoes. And here's the really cool thing. They were all white. 7 white dingoes. Eric nodded with a smile. Wow. John smiled. Right? But there's lots more. First, Grandmaster Kino, the odds of seeing an albino dingo ever in your lifetime is huge. To see 7 of them together is otherworldly for sure. Seth said the dingoes stood still all around him. He was bleeding pretty badly, and a few of them licked at his wounds, and they stood guard over him. He tried to stand, but he thought his leg was broken. He was in so much pain, but he knew he had to get home or find some food and water. He hadn't eaten or had anything to drink since the night before when he had had water and crackers. They were still in his pack that he dropped somewhere along the way down the hillside. He finally worked his way to his feet, and he picked up the stick to try to use it as a crutch to hobble his way home. But one of the dingoes snatched the stick out of his hand, and a few others nudged him with their noses and forced him back inside the cave and pushed him down to sit. He thought they were either protecting him or possibly he was their prisoner. Maybe they were saving him for a meal. He was confused and frightened. They sat with their backs to him and kept watch over the area. Every time he tried to make his way out, they pushed him back down. He stayed there all day and through the night, and he was cold and hungry and thirsty and bleeding. He was feeling sick and nauseated and was pretty sure he was going to die. He actually tried talking to the dingoes, reasoning with them that they thought they were protecting him, but they were going to cause him to die, but they wouldn't relinquish their mission. He finally gave up. He was dizzy. He was falling in and out of consciousness. He remembers asking the dingoes, "Why are you trying to kill me? Do you want me to die? Are you going to eat me? Why not just kill me now? Why are you doing this?" Then he said at one point he thought he heard one of the dingoes speak to him. He heard, "Don't cry to me. Cry out to the one you call the great creator. He's listening." So he turned his heart and mind to God, and he begged him to send the dingoes away and help him to get back home. He said he begged all night, all the next day, and finally, in the wee hours of the next morning, he gave up. In his mind, he said goodbye to his parents and to his friends in his village. He was so weak from loss of blood and infection from the pig's tusks. He changed his tune. He said stuff like, "Okay, Great One, I'm yours. I'm sorry. Please comfort my mother and father. I'm sorry I hurt them. I'm hurting too. I hurt so much and I can't take any more. My leg feels like it's on fire. My head hurts whenever I open my eyes. I'm going to die, and it's okay. I would like to meet you. Will I be able to meet you? I'm ready to go now." You get the idea. Eric nodded. "I do indeed." Right then, right when he said, "I'm ready to go now," the dingoes parted, and a man stepped into the small cave and knelt next to Seth. He said the man was glowing. He was surrounded by light. He had long, dark hair and was dressed in a white robe, and he smiled and held a small glass bowl of water to Seth's lips and commanded him to drink small sips. He said the moment he did, he felt warmer and much less dizzy. The holy man told Sess that they were in a very sacred place. He told him that Sess had a special mission in life to fulfill. He told him that though Sess believed in a supreme being who created the world, that being is actually very much different from the rainbow serpent that the Aboriginals believed in. First, Sess must understand that God is real, and that he created man in his own image, and that a serpent is the furthest from who God is. He's not some mystical creature in the sky. Sess must understand that he is the one true God. He told him he has to understand that Jesus is the true, only begotten Son of the Father, and that he came to earth through a virgin birth and died on the cross willingly to pay for our wrongdoings, and that he was resurrected and ascended into heaven to sit on the right hand of God. Jesus is our Lord and Savior. He told him he had to live a noble life, full of honesty and integrity and love and kindness, and that he had to fight evil every chance he got. He told him it would not be easy, but God was going to give him a gift, and he must make the most of it, and it will help to ease his way. And what was the gift? Eric asked. Was it the gift of healing? Yes, sir. And he said Sess must remember that he's not healing people with his own power, but that in Jesus' name he'll be able to heal and create miracles and cause many people to be saved. And Dr. Iman told me that he had no idea at the time how he was going to do what he's done, but he walked by faith, and he has allowed the Lord to lead him and guide him. And he made his way through medical school in a world that wasn't quite ready to even let him go to regular school. But the story is much longer than this. And I think Dr. Iman should tell you how all of those miracles came about. Still, the point is, I heard about Gabe calling you that day to confirm that there are all together 12 people called, 11 other people like yourself. And I was thinking that this man has to be one of them. He was lost for 3 days. An angel-type being appeared to him and called him. He was 10 years old. It's too much like your experience to push aside, don't you think? I absolutely do. We will not push this aside. Let me ask you a question, though, John. One I know my wife is going to ask me. John nodded. Did Sess ever see the little girl again, the one he saved from being trampled? John smiled. Indeed, he did. She and her mother endured beatings from her father when he found that they'd gone to the hospital to visit the, quote, half-breed Aboriginal boy who'd been missing for 3 days. The girl who'd been only 6 when Seth saved her from the charging wagon was 8 years old when she visited him in the hospital. Her mother had a feeling she needed to see the boy and went to visit and knew immediately that Seth was the boy who'd saved her daughter and taken a beating for it. The girl befriended him, and over the next few years the two would meet secretly by the harbor. Then there was a disaster in the town, which, by the way, was on the Sunshine Coast. A tropical cyclone came through and caused a lot of damage, and many people were hurt from buildings collapsing. Sess and his father came into town to see if they could help anyone. A man lay in the street, screaming in pain because his leg was broken in 2 places and the bone was sticking out of his leg, and Sess knelt down beside him, the man, and put his hand on his shoulder. People tried to make Sess leave, but he refused. The man immediately calmed down and then fell asleep, and Sess then pulled on the leg, pushed it back into place, and used his shirt to bind the leg. And later, the doctors were amazed that the leg bone had been aligned perfectly. The ER doctor searched out and found Sess and talked to him for a long time, getting from him the whole story that I just told you. The doctor then took it upon himself to make sure that the indigenous children could come to school and be educated. He took Sess into his own home and taught him how to read and write and do math. And when Sess took a college entrance exam, he aced it. In college, guess who he ran into? The little girl who was now a beautiful young woman. Her name was Hazel. Eric smiled. Finally, the ending I was hoping for. John chuckled. I wish you could meet her. She's such a lovely woman, a lot like your wife, and they are such a great couple. Eric nodded. I'm guessing you have all of their information so that I can reach out to them? I do, and Dr. Iman is expecting your call. Wonderful. They were interrupted by the sound of little feet, and John looked up to see 5 little ones in their white martial arts uniforms. Eric stood and smiled at his children. "Well, John, we're about to have a martial arts lesson. Would you care to join us?" John smiled. He already knew that when Grandmaster Keto invites you to participate in a lesson with him, you don't turn it down. "I'd be honored," John said as he stood and bowed. "Let me just give Chief Adams a call and let him know that I've been detained." New scene. It is January 11th still, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Saturday afternoon, at the GTCC in Compton, California. Gabe Tanner and Taylor Keno sat at a table next to young Eric and Logan Adams and JoJo Adams. All of them were busy signing autographs for the large group, both kids and adults, that had come to see the martial arts demonstration at the Gabe Tanner Community Center. The demo had been a giant display of skill and talent. Ray Lynn only watched, but the lowest belts, Melody and Jordan, who were yellow belts, had done a fine job. At the end, kids were invited up to try breaking boards, which is always a crowd pleaser. Ricky and Mark mingled with the crowd, talking to the counselors who volunteered at the center and greeting parents, though there weren't a lot of parents present. Both Ricky and Mark were using this opportunity to assess how the GTCC is being run according to guidelines and what improvements need to be made in their stipulations. They wanted to be sure someone wasn't opening a center in Gabe's name and then doing their own thing. They had to follow along with the beliefs that Gabe held, since it was those beliefs, his Christian principles and testimony, that had people donating to the cause, and they had to stay true to them. Mark told Ricky there had been several people who wanted to open a center under Gabe's name, but make it a bit more, quote, inclusive, close quote. That was the wording, which sounded good. But what they actually meant was do away with most of the Christian stuff. They'd had to explain that Gabe's principles on life were completely connected and embedded in his Christian faith, and that if they couldn't handle that, then they could not put his name on it. They explained that one didn't have to be a Christian to be welcome at the centers. All were welcome. But that everyone needed to know that if you go to a Gabe Tanner Community Center, there will be prayers and blessings on food and Christian principles instilled in all activities. For example, no immodest clothing, no music with immoral words or ideas, no cursing on the basketball courts, and similar conditions. If one didn't want to attend because of those things, then so be it. God's children will hear his call, though it may take a little bit to clean out their ears. Ray Lynn, Melody, and Jordan stood together chatting as they watched their guys conversing with kids who adored them. They were signing hats and shirts and pictures and footballs. "I'm so proud of our guys," Melody said. "I mean, not that they're famous, but watch the way they take time to look each kid in the eyes and talk to them." Jordan nodded. "I agree. I've always admired the way the whole family really sees other people as important individuals, not just, quote, fans, you know? They don't act like all high and mighty." "Well, they really are some good guys, aren't they?" Raylin said softly. "I am so in awe of JoJo. He came into my life so quickly, and every time he smiles at me, it takes my breath away." Jordan giggled. "Yeah, those guys have a way of doing that. They take my breath away and every female within 50 feet of them. They have such power about them." Melody nodded. "They are bright lights for sure. Aren't we just so blessed to have them in our lives?" "We are," Raylin said on a sigh. Melody looked up at her. "Have you told JoJo yet that you're in love with him?" Her mouth opened. "Oh, no. Do I make it that obvious?" Jordan smiled. "Oh, come on, Ray. Who wouldn't spend some time with JoJo and not fall in love with him?" Ray smiled. "It makes me nervous. I've never really had a boyfriend, and my feelings for him are so strong, I worry that one day this will end." "Does that mean that you want it to go on forever?" Jordan asked. "I mean, like, you want to marry him?" She sighed. "Wouldn't that be something amazing? But I don't dare think that because I don't want to be disappointed." "Well, I have a feeling, Raylin," Jordan began, "that the three of us are going to be legally related one day." Melody smiled. "All sisters-in-law. Oh, my goodness, wouldn't that be great?" Jordan put her arms around both girls' shoulders. It's going to be so much fun. But it's also going to be hard work. Why do you say that? Well, I've been informed that the Kino/Adams families work very hard from the moment they wake up until they drop at night. They work doing whatever God puts in their path, no matter how tired they are. Well, that doesn't surprise me, and I'm ready for it, Raylan said. Jordan looked around. As a matter of fact, we shouldn't be standing here talking while they are busy working. We need to do something too. What should we do? Jordan looked around. Well, let's go talk to some of the kids that seem to be standing alone. Talk to them about what? Raylan asked. Just ask their names. Ask about their likes and dislikes. Ask about their families. We might come across someone who just might need a boost or a smile or a hug. Melody nodded. Let's get to it. Young Eric watched as his girl and had her arms around JoJo's and Logan's girls, and he smiled. Those three beauties were simply amazing. He watched as they broke apart and turned to go talk to some kids. Leaning toward JoJo, he nodded at the girls. What do you think they're up to? JoJo watched a minute. They're working for God. Yeah, they are, Logan said softly, his eyes glowing with the love he felt for his Melody. He shifted his gaze to the girl in front of him. I've watched all of your videos. You're really good. When does your album drop? This spring. Keep following, and I'll make the announcement as soon as I know. I will. Will you sign a picture for me? You bet, he said, as he scribbled across the 8x10 she shoved at him. So, are you here all alone? Oh, no, my little brother's here somewhere. We love this place. We spend all of our time here. Well, that's fantastic. Your parents, too? My dad comes sometimes. My mom died. I am so sorry. How long ago? Oh, it's been like 8 years now. My brother was a baby. She had cancer. My dad tries to take pretty good care of us. He has a girlfriend now. Oh, and what do you think about that? The girl shrugged. She seems nice. I think she likes us kids. Well, that's a good start. So if you ever want to talk to someone about it, there are counselors right here at the center who will just listen and give you advice if you want it. No pressure. I heard that, but I don't know how to find them. Logan nodded and stood. Well, let's go see right now how you would do that. He took the hand of the young teen girl and walked with her over to one of the directors. He explained that she didn't know how to ask to speak to a counselor and that maybe they need to be clear about that and make sure all the children know that there's someone there for them always. Meanwhile, Amari and Brittany stood around with some of the younger children. Amari was being very careful to watch out for Brittany because he'd been asked to do so by his new dad. Amari smiled. His new dad. That was such a cool thought. He had a dad. He'd never known a dad, and Mari wanted to please him and make him proud because this man was like a superhero in Mari's eyes. He was Ricky Kino, a movie star, and he was every bit as cool in real life as he is in the movies. So, kid, why'd the Kinos bring you along? Are you like his best student or something? Mari eyed the older boy, wondering if he was going to cause trouble. He glanced over at the man who was his new dad, then back at the boy. Mari shook his head. No, I'm not his best student. I just got started learning. Really? So, how hard was it to learn the little thing you did? Oh, just a few days. I have to work on it every day until I get it perfect. So, Ricky Kino's your teacher? Mari nodded. Yeah, he's the best. He's legit for sure, the boy said. Where do you take? Oh, well, I only been to a Kino martial arts place a few times, and it was a different place each time. But he usually teaches us at home, like on the beach or downstairs. He comes to your house? Oh, no. I mean, he's there. We live with him. He's our dad. Liar. Brittany, who'd been quiet up to that point, wrinkled up her nose and narrowed her eyes. My brother is not a liar. Is too. He's not your dad. He's white. You're black. He ain't your dad. He's our foster dad, Amari explained, and he's only half white. The boy eyed Ricky Kino. Well, what else is he? He's Hawaiian. The boy looked the man over again, trying to see it. Anyway, Daddy says it doesn't matter what color his skin is or what color my skin is, Brittany suddenly said. He says the only things that matter is Jesus and love. The boy frowned. So, where's your real dad? I don't know where my dad is, but Maury's dad is in jail. Hush, Britt. So then, how'd you luck out to get to live with Ricky Kino? He was there when my mom OD'd and asked the people if he could take care of us. Your mom's dead? No, she's in the hospital, Maury replied. But she's probably in jail now, Britt explained. Shut up, Britt. Her eyes opened wide. I'm going to tell. Amari blew out a breath. I don't care. You need to learn to shut up. Brittany turned and ran to Ricky. He knelt down in front of her with a smile on his face, and he listened to her complaint. He asked a few questions and then took her hand and came to speak with the boys. Hey, guys, Ricky said. The older boy's eyes opened wide. Hey. Hi, Dad, Amari said with hopeful eyes, and Ricky smiled. Son? So who's your new friend? Amari frowned because he wasn't exactly a friend. I'm Jerry. Jerry, nice to meet you. Is that a nickname? Yeah. My real name is Gerald, after my grandpa. Oh, I see. That's nice. How old are you? I'm 11. Do you live nearby? Yeah, just down the street a ways. So you walked here? Yeah, I walk here pretty much every day. Do you like it here? Yeah, I like to play ball here. Why? Why? I mean, why do you like to play ball here and not somewhere else? Oh, well, like, it's not so rough here, and the younger kids get to play too, and here, like, the older kids don't push us around. So you feel safe here, right? Yeah. Do you know why? He shrugged. Ricky turned to Maury. Amari, do you know why Jerry feels safe here? Yes, sir. Tell me why. Because there are rules here about no fighting, and if you break the rules, you don't get to come here anymore. So, Ricky pushed. Well, because there are rules about no fighting, you know that nobody's going to fight. And everybody keeps the rules, because if you don't get to come here, you don't get to play where you feel safe, and you don't get to eat. Ricky nodded. Right. So, rules and obeying the rules is pretty important sometimes, right? Yes, sir. What are some other rules here, Jerry? Being polite, no pushing, no cursing, no fighting, no cheating, no stealing. Ricky nodded. Good. So, are you really their dad? Jerry asked. Yes, right now. My wife and I are their foster parents. We are really blessed to have these two in our home. Well, what happens when their mom or dad gets out of jail? Well, Jerry, that's a pretty personal question. But I'll tell you this. Maury's father will not be getting out of jail until Maury is a grown man, and his mother won't be released until he's a teenager. And we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But my personal feeling is I love my two foster kids like they were my own, and I hope I can always be their father. But I want to help you to understand something, Jerry. Sometimes it's not very polite to ask people you just met such personal questions. Jerry looked down. I didn't mean nothing by it. I was just curious. I understand why you were curious. It's kind of a strange situation. Since we're being so personal, may I ask you, do you live with your parents? I live with my mom and my grandma. And how are things there? He shrugged. It's okay. My mom works at a doctor's place, and my grandma works at a hair place, so they ain't home until later. Do you have any brothers or sisters? I got 2 brothers. One is 16 and one is 8. Ricky nodded. Oh, you're a middle child. So are your brothers here today? My little brother is here. He's that kid over there with the red shirt. Ricky glanced where Jerry pointed. Okay. Is your mom or grandma here? No, they at work. What time were you going to leave here today? We was going to stay until they close. Ricky nodded. Well, how would you and your brother like to have some dinner with Amari and Brittany and I at a restaurant, and then I'll take you home? Jerry's eyes lit up. Really? Of course, really. We never lie. Not ever. Right, Maury? Yes, sir. So would you like to come eat with us, Jerry? Jerry nodded. That would be cool, Mr. Kino. Good. Can we call your mother or grandmother and get their permission? Oh, they won't care. Well, I'd feel better if we do that. And then we'll finish getting loaded up. You can help. I'll talk to the director here and let him know that we're taking you and we'll be off. Jerry smiled. Amari smiled. But Brittany frowned. But, Daddy, Mari told me to shut up. Oh, yes, that's right. We'll talk about that at home privately. But for now, I'll just say, Mari, please don't be rude to your sister. And Britt, please don't blurt out personal information to everyone that asks. You have to learn that some questions are personal and not for everyone to know. Amari smiled and Brittany frowned. Her chin quivered and Ricky lifted her into his arms. Now, my sweet little girl, let's see if you're strong enough to help me by carrying that blue bag over there out to JoJo's truck, he said before he smiled and kissed her cheek. New scene. It is January 11th still. Now it is 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, Saturday evening. The Memphis Hilton, Memphis, Tennessee. Justice pulled his Tahoe up to the front of the Memphis Hilton. He was tired. He'd been driving for 8 hours, stopping only for gas. His stomach was slightly upset from gas station fried food. His system was not used to that. His entire family was the role model for pure, wholesome foods. It was a battle they fought daily. Justice himself was one of the assistant VPs of the Pure Foods brand conglomerate, and the face of the company until just recently. Then tragedy happened, and his devastation had been so great he had to take a break. He had to find himself again, and he had to finish what his brother and sister had started. Memphis was the halfway mark to his destination. He stopped the car, reached in and grabbed his computer case and his bag, handed his keys to the valet, and went to check in. The staff was friendly and efficient, and he was grateful. And once in his room, he set up his laptop, answered some office memos, and then ordered dinner from a local health food restaurant. While he waited, he took a shower. He wrapped a towel around his waist and found himself standing in front of the mirror in the bathroom, staring into a face he almost didn't recognize. He felt so removed from the person he'd been. He used his hand to wipe the fog from the mirror. Staring into his own dark eyes, he tried to see what his Uncle Tim was talking about. He frowned. He wasn't actually wasting away like his uncle said. He'd been a big, strong, athletic, healthy guy, and yet he'd lost a little weight. He'd lost a little weight. He'd lost his appetite after the... He shook his head. He didn't want to think about that. It'd been 6 months, and he finally took his uncle's advice. He took a leave of absence. Leaving the company in his uncle's and grandfather's capable hands, he struck out to visit and see what his brother and sister had longed to see. They'd done the research. They'd found the place, a place that coincidentally had been in the news a lot lately, Pine Forest, Georgia. Their next move would have been to go to this pine forest and reestablish what had once been lost. He'd planned to take the trip with them. It would have been a wonderful time for making memories with his brother and sister and parents who'd become involved in the project. But now he would go alone and do what they could not. Sighing, he hung the towel on the bathroom doorknob, pulled on some sweats, went to his bed, and knelt on the carpeted floor. "Father," he began, and immediately stopped. His heart swelled, the tears came, and he waited a minute to get control. "Father, I'm a broken man. That's how I feel. Broken. I'm sorry. I'm trying really hard to let go. I keep thinking that I have let go, but then the guilt comes back. It's not that I miss them, though, Father, indeed I do. It's not that I don't know that I'll see them again, but I feel so empty, which I guess means I haven't been strengthening my relationship with you. Because when I'm close to you, I don't feel empty. I don't want to feel this way. I want to feel the peace and the joy I used to feel. So what is wrong with me? I know better. Life seems so worthless and empty. Granddad says I need to spend more time in service. He says that will help me to pull out of the funk I'm in. The funny thing is, I know that. It's like I can't remember to do the most simple things. Anyway, Father, I'm going to make the deliveries to the people my grandfather asked me to see here in Memphis. And then Monday morning, I'll finish my drive to Pine Forest. I don't know why I'm so compelled to go there now, when before I wanted to get out of it. Is this really what you, Father, what you want me to do? My family seems to feel like it's ultra important. I pray you'll be with me and help me to see what I'm supposed to see and do what I'm supposed to do, because I want to do your will. So please help me to know your will. He remained silent for a minute or two. Anyway, Father, let me hear from you, please. Please. Please answer me like you used to. What am I doing wrong? He drew a calming breath. Oh, thank you, Father, for all that you've blessed me with. Thank you for the small things and the big things, too. Thank you that I have the ability to take time off from work and take this trip. And keep me safe as I travel and keep my family safe, what's left of them. Please keep them safe. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Justice rose and sat on the side of the bed. He was a 27-year-old man. He was a regular guy. He loved sports. He graduated college in business. He took his place in the family-owned Pure Foods business as the face of the company. He even made several commercials for the brand. He was a totally devoted believer in Jesus. His entire family was devout. His grandfather had found Jesus when he was just a boy and never departed from him. He was a pillar of strength. He married a beautiful girl named Clara, and together they taught their children and grandchildren about the realness of God, and the family was extremely happy. Justice himself had felt the Holy Spirit many times, had felt and seen the results of Jesus working in his life many times. He could not and would not deny his Lord and Savior. But he was struggling. He didn't know why he felt led to pursue what his older siblings had been working on. So he was taking a step of faith. The Lord was leading him to Pine Forest. Tomorrow, Sunday, he would attend a local church and then make the several food deliveries his grandfather asked him to make to some families in need. He would spend another night here at the Memphis Hilton, and then first thing Monday morning, after a workout and a good breakfast, he would drive the last 6.5 hours to Pine Forest and see what he could see. And that is the end of chapter 5.